Right now, you can get both Sprint's unlimited plan and the all-new Samsung Galaxy S10 included for just $35 per month per line for 5 lines. All you need is approved credit and an 18-month lease. No trade-in required. Visit a Sprint store, sprint.com, or call 800-SPRINT-1.
Phone $15 a month after $22.50 a month. Credit apply within 2 bills. If canceled earlier, remain balance due. Unlimited basic after 6/30/20. Pay $32 per month per line for 5 lines with auto pay. Data deprioritization during congestion. Speed maximums. Use rules and restrictions apply.
Right now, you can get both Sprint's unlimited plan and the all-new Samsung Galaxy S10 included for just $35 per month per line for 5 lines. All you need is approved credit and an 18-month lease. No trade-in required. Visit a Sprint store, sprint.com, or call 800-SPRINT-1.
Phone $15 a month after $22.50 a month. Credit apply within 2 bills. If canceled earlier, remain balance due. Unlimited basic after 6/30/20. Pay $32 per month per line for 5 lines with auto pay. Data deprioritization during congestion. Speed maximums. Use rules and restrictions apply.
This one. Hi there, this is Jim, the Keys bartender. I'm bringing the music down right now. We're coming to you for episode 158.
158.
You talk funny.
You talk funny.
You talk funny. That's the name of the episode. But we are in Key Largo, mid-Key Largo. Not
regular
Key Largo on a canal, and we just got through an attack of the blister bug. If you come down here, there's a certain bug. It looks like a skinnier lightning bug without the luminescent.
With no lightning.
Yeah, the no light. If it comes by, do not smash it on your body because the fluid from it will eat at the couple layers of your skin.
It has acid in it.
Acid in, yeah, and it. You'll look like a leper, a fucking leper.
Yeah. Put another vent hole on the other side.
Yeah. Oh, here we go. So, what are you making, a bong?
Tyler is trying to make a homemade bug fogger because our regular bug fogger.
It's actually died down now. That's they were all. It goes for like 45 minutes and then they disappear. It's amazing. Right at sunset, and then they go. But I'm going to start out with a story of Tim and Alice and. They're seasonals. I love these guys. I said Tim looks like when there's younger girls around. I say Tim looks like a character from The Hills, and they go, really? And I said The Hills Have Eyes, and they don't get that one because The Hills Have Eyes is an older movie. But they're good. They're nice people. He's a good tipper.
Where are they from?
I mean, I should know where they're from. I think they're from Michigan, Ohio, something like that.
Somewhere up there.
Up there, and. Every time they pay their bill, he pays cash, and he goes, I want change back. And when he changed, he just wants a penny. It's a joke, and stuff like that. So he's always betting people. I throw a penny at him, and every so often I throw a quarter, and he got all pissed off. He goes, I told him that you weren't going to give me any more than a dime. You're making me a liar. Now I got to buy them a round of drinks. And I threw him Chuck E. Cheese tokens from our slot machine. Yeah.
You should get those
I threw him a set of beads.
A set of beads?
A set of beads. Beads. Like the Indians got from Manhattan. I go, here you go. Here's some wampum. There we go. And then I took a handful of pennies and just dropped them in front of them. It's your change. And you could see some of the people that, if they're sitting next to them and they're not in on it, they're just like so terrified that, they're like, what? I go, you know what? If they're not in, if they don't get that we're joking, shame on them. They shouldn't sit at a bar, but most bar people get that the people that you're fucking around with.
I'm glad you found your glasses, Jim.
I know, they were on my head. I was looking for them for like 2 minutes. I was looking around.
I caught him looking
around.
And then he realized you were on his head.
Yeah.
My mom does that all the time, by the way.
Yeah.
Hi, Mom.
Earlier this week too, and I was today I was trimming my yard, and every time I put on the grass trimmer, it looks like a cicada, and it sits in a tree across the street. And every time I turn that sucker on, it would come and start running up against my face, just batting up against my face, kind of freaking me out. Size of a cicada, about 2 inches long, a bug about 2 inches long. Doesn't sting, but when a bug's flying at you and it's 2 inches long, your reaction is, and then after a while, I just started getting used to it. It kind of hurt too. It's like doing a head.
The locusts are coming. What the heck? Why would a giant bug fly at you?
I think there was a sound. What the sound that the frequency of the hedge trimmer. This is my lame ass scientific explanation. Was equal to a mating call.
Oh, so he was.
And he was trying to fuck my head. He's trying to fuck my head. So, the cicada. Yeah. I'm not a virgin anymore. He didn't get into my ear. Yeah. I don't think he's sitting back having a cigarette after that one. So, yeah. So, I'm here with Jenna Kelly, Tyler Kelly, Damon, and Papa Joe. I call Joe because he's not old enough to be my papa.
My
but
kids call him that.
Yeah, it's a sign of respect. You're very
Papa
intelligent. The traffic, I wanted to talk about crossing the roads. People get really frustrated about the traffic down here. We are up here 4 lanes, 2 lanes north, 2 lanes south, all the way down to mile marker 90.
90, yeah, right about
90, and then it goes to 2, and then it gets back to 4 when you get in the marathon. But people get kind of frustrated, and a lot of the they do things that you normally wouldn't do, like pull out in front of a dump truck that's going 55 miles an hour. With a car that doesn't accelerate that fast, doesn't accelerate like a Tesla. I have to say that now because Teslas are the fastest cars from 0 to 60 now.
In stock form, yes.
And I'm sure there's going to be one once you start that it's because continuous torque. That it's going to be the fastest if they get a performance one. They do Formula One. They're starting to do Formula One electric.
They have electric motors on each wheel, but it's free braking.
No, but they do an EV. They have an EV series.
Have a boost. They do have an EV series, but just in a regular F1, there are actually electric motors on each wheel, and they have a certain amount of time that they can boost, and it kicks the motor in. It's kind of like running nitrous on a Formula One.
Mm-hmm. Let me introduce you to Damon, the car nerd.
I like this.
Yes.
But they don't do an all-electric race?
They just started
the
EV series.
And they do with the tires. The tires, they're going to get it down because they remember when they, well, you don't remember, but the first car, the races they had with those fucking spindly-ass wheels and stuff like that. And they look like fucking cigars. I'm smoking a cigar right now. From the 1920s and earlier.
Back when they used to race like Model Ts. Model A's.
I don't think did they ever race those? They probably did in the version of stock cars, but all the stock cars were one car. It's a Model T smashing into each other. One of those. Okay, well, when you got to pull out, and you're waiting there 5 minutes. And you're waiting for a break. And if you're coming from the south, if there was an accident up on Route 1 and you're up here in Mid or North Key Largo, and on the stretch there was an accident, and all of a sudden there's 2,000 backed up vehicles coming down 2 lanes, you just got to wait. Or hope someone's going to do something stupid to slow down, and then you got to worry about someone merging into the outside lane and running into you. So you got to be selective when you're crossing. You're crossing a highway, and people don't necessarily know how to cross a highway. They don't know you should stay in the side that you're supposed to be in. Like if you're going to be making a left turn, you should be on the right lane because you're always on the right side of the road in the United States. And people sometimes they go to the left.
I think the worst
on the brake, right? They go to the left, and that's dangerous.
Because when we have a median, and as you get further south, there's businesses in that median.
Yeah.
So you have traffic running, north and south on each side of that business. They'll pull into one side, pull right out the same side, and try going back up the wrong way. And I've had cars come straight at me many times.
Which I've never been able to wrap my head around that one down here because you obviously got there, and you got there by car.
Right.
So when you were going there, you had to have noticed that it was 2 lanes in the same direction.
Right.
So magically, while you were eating dinner, this is not an HOV lane on an expressway in South Florida where they swap. The HOV lane in the morning will be northbound, and in the afternoon it'll be southbound, even though it's on the same expressway.
Yeah.
That's not how our roads work. So when you stopped at the restaurant that was on your right heading south, when you left, it now magically was not a 1-lane road.
I think they just get screwed up once they sit down, eat food, turn around.
Right now there's an American in England. Well, no, it's probably not at this time of night. But driving the opposite way through a traffic circle, in one of their. So whatever we say about people,
Roundabouts.
but these are locals. These are locals that are crossing the highway, and supposedly there's a trick when you're sitting there, and let's say you're heading south, and you want to make a left turn. You're sitting there, and you're about to make the left turn. You should keep your wheels forward, folks, if you're down here, because if someone doesn't slow down and they pull in the lane and hit you from behind, and your wheels are turned into traffic, that person, you could be unintentionally forced into that oncoming traffic. So if you get hit from behind, you want to go forward into the median. You know, that's the one thing. You don't need that extra trauma of being hit forward. But that's just a word of advice down here. You got to be frosty, and this idea that the Keys is wide open for drinking all day long. It's not for drinking and driving. And now with the advent of Uber and all the the options that you have down here, that you don't need to drink and drive.
You do not.
Not to
I do
excess.
think it's funny though that you can count, you can see all the rental cars. Like you can always tell which car is a rental car.
Yeah. Well, when I first came down
it's
here,
a convertible Mustang.
It's a rental.
the
almost
convertible.
guaranteed to
Remember,
be a
well,
Mustang
when I
or
first came down here 12 years ago, there was a lot, because there's always these cars they had excess of, and they put them into use. PT Cruisers.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they were a big one. And actually down here, like my license plate at the bottom says Monroe as far as the county, because it's the county that we live in. And with the rental cars, you could always spot a rental car because the license plate at the bottom would say Sunshine State.
Yep.
It did not have a county identified to it.
Mm-hmm.
I've started noticing that some of the locals tags have, if they're doing it online or whatever the case is,
Right.
will say Sunshine State instead of having the actual county on it.
Or if you buy the car from a dealer in Miami-Dade, then you won't get a Sunshine State plate. Now I'm a Monroe County dealer.
Yeah.
And I issue plates that say Sunshine State on them, not Monroe.
Well, years ago, 25, 30 years ago, there was the. I talk about this book every so often, Freakonomics, that whenever there's a shark attack, everyone notices shark attacks. When there was tourists getting waylaid, almost like the highwaymen of the late Middle Ages who in Europe and in the Old West, highwaymen would rob people, right? Well, they were doing this down here. They were stealing cars and things like that. But it wasn't everyone, was it?
No, it was cars with Y and Z tags. Because
Rental cars.
those were the rental cars, and those were the tags that were specifically assigned by the state only for rentals. So
This is Papa Joe.
Yes, Papa Joe.
So if you rented a car in Miami, two things happened.
Yep.
One, you got a car with a tag that was a Y plate. It was the first letter in the plate was a Y or a Z.
And I'm always asking fucking why sometimes when I see these people driving.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The other thing that was going on was nobody would tell them what areas they should not be driving in. And most people that come into Miami want to go to the beach or they want to go to Coral Gables. And they get confused. And they're on the expressways, and our expressways, and many of them are Europeans. If you've driven in Europe, you really don't get lost because the signs are just everywhere.
Yeah.
Not so here. And sometimes it's hard for us to understand.
It'll just tell you the street. It won't tell you the street is the entrance to get to South Beach.
South Beach, this
There's
lane.
some that have the big.
It'll
yeah.
say this lane, and you're like, okay. And then they panic because they haven't seen it in a while, and they get off on 17th Avenue, make a left, and next thing they're in the most depressed area, the most crime-ridden area of Miami, unfortunately, and right into the hands of
The highwaymen.
the highwaymen, so to speak. And so highway robberies were occurring in the 90s, 91, 92,
Yep.
93, to the point where we had to put a task force together to hunt these people down. And that, to answer the question,
Papa Joe was a state trooper.
Yes.
I just want people to know if you're listening to this episode for the first time.
there was a couple, the Rica Brands, and they came to Miami, and the highwaymen decided they didn't want to wait for them to get in the neighborhood, so they went up on one of our expressways, and shortly after getting on the expressway from the airport, they threw what we call an elephant turd, a large, looks like a mushroom. It's made out of concrete. It's usually used for the corners of your yard to keep people from driving
Oh, okay,
on
yeah.
your
those
grass.
are the ones I had at the other house, the blue one.
The blue ones.
Yep.
They're like a 12-inch diameter domed concrete.
Oh, and it hits the
thing.
bottom of your drivetrain and all that stuff.
Well, it's like a parking bumper,
Yeah.
but it's like a little dome concrete thing.
Yeah, but it'll hit your undercarriage, right?
Well, it's to get your wheels to pop and get you not to drive
Yeah.
on someone's property.
No, but I mean, if you couldn't like just drive over it, like in the middle.
A lot of cars no, because they're just too low.
Yeah.
So what they did was they threw this thing through the windshield, and it impacted the windshield and then hit him and disabled him. And when the car stopped, they shot and killed him, and robbed his belongings, stole the wife, her possessions.
Yeah.
And the Reicherbrand case is what caused the governor's office to put this task force together. And at the end of this task force, it took about 2.5 years, part of the legislation was to ban the Y and Z tags. So that put an end to that. So now rental cars, they just have tags,
Right.
any tags.
You know what's funny though is that a lot of the rental cars have out-of-state plates.
Well, Tennessee
Most of them.
Tennessee is it depends on where it's cheapest.
Taxes.
Because if
Taxes,
the rental
yeah.
company has a
Registration
home
and
base,
taxes and all that.
Right, yeah, they'll use the...
Yeah, and it's I forget the county. There's one particular county, I guess, where like Avis and Hertz and all that have. But what happens is, that carries on for such a long time, and if people are terrified going to rest stops and things like that, which, it's unfortunate. It's that when a shark attack occurs, everyone realizes they think, oh, I'm the next. It's going to happen to me, but it's not necessarily so. But that goes hand in hand with You Talk Funny, because we're in season now.
Because you tell funny.
Yeah, we're in season, and I noticed Saturday night and Sunday night we had time change here. Everyone had it in the United States, but I mean, no, some people don't observe it.
Some states don't.
Some states don't, but down here they do. And you think that if you jump ahead, you'd have a later crowd, right? So I'm working Sunday night, and it's eerily slow after 8:30. And I'm thinking, how the fuck does that happen? Because it's 7:30
Right.
in your body clock. And I'm like, wow, I'm almost an hour and a half. And I told you about my thing with Abby, so I'm thinking my body automatically goes to that thing. It's almost cocktail hour for me,
Yeah.
but it's not, because I'll explain later. We had virtually nobody after 8:30, and then it started kicking in Monday. But we started getting it back. But we noticed that season used to be here right after Valentine's Day. I mean, we have a real big boost right Christmas week, and then Valentine's Day through the end of Easter.
Right. Well, spring break. Right?
Spring break or Easter break, because you got kids, the people with younger kids, they have the Easter break too. So that's a big last going. But that's changing. It's I drew a graph which I should probably post. No, maybe not. It's boring. But I'm going to do it. Someday I'm going to do a presentation of just graphs, pie graphs,
It actually
bar
looks
graphs.
like two snakes.
It does look like two snakes, but it's flattening out, meaning that the slow isn't as slow, right? Because people, the traditional slowest part is September through the beginning of November, and that's the end and peak of hurricane season. But because, and Papa Joe and I had this discussion, that with these online applications, you can see when there's a storm approaching, the possibility, and people are doing last minute planning. So it's flattening out. And people can go online and they notice they're their own travel agents, and they can say, well, if I go this week, it's $500 a night. If I go next week or 2 weeks later or a month later, it's $250 a night. Now, if you have money to burn, you don't give a shit. Or if you're locked into your vacation time, like if you're seasonal people like me, you don't take vacation. I don't take vacations during the busy season. It's perfect. You're getting married during busy season. up north. I'm not coming because I don't care about you. I will show up for a funeral, obviously, depending on how close you are to me. But they don't know. They don't know if I'm going to attend or not.
Well, right. So what you're getting at is that because people have, are their own travel agents now, have the ability at their own fingertips to book their flights, book their hotels.
And there's all sorts of other.
They will choose the couple weeks before, the couple.
It used to be you couldn't take your
after.
child out of school because they miss a week. Why would you take it in the middle of the school year? But you can get your homework online. My daughter has a ton of homework she can get from online, and they could send her all the, and we could go over it together and do the same classwork. It's almost like doing a homeschooling for a week. And you say, listen, we're going to do it, but during this vacation, we're going to do 5 hours a week of homework while we're doing it. A minimum of 5 hours. And I know you're going to fall a little behind, but it's not like you're missing a whole week. And then you also have the college break, that's a lock.
It depends
college.
on the area, it depends on the college.
It's you're off that's your spring break, or it's not.
Although you're dealing with like a college in New York may have a week off.
No, they're different. I know they're
Easter,
very.
Whereas the college in Wisconsin might have a week off right now.
People don't go to college in Wisconsin. Yeah. Do they? Because we did talk about accents and stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, my oldest son went to the University of Wisconsin.
And with the optional vacation, like people have their time and they go like, listen, I'm looking for a deal. I'm looking for a cruise. That is great. When there's a cruise coming up. I am all about the cruising.
You like cruises?
I do. You know what? I don't like cruising. Like, I would love to go on a cruise with you guys.
Yeah, I think
because the best part is, I believe, it's not just the hanging out, which is fun. It's dinner time. When you're hanging out, you're having a nice dinner. Let's say you guys and my family, and let's say we get anybody else who's fun, and you hang out and you have dinner together. Dinner, for me, when you're sitting there eating and drinking and you're recapping what stupid shit you did that day, I think it's fabulous. I enjoy that stuff. It's not necessarily being on a cruise. The food is most likely okay, not great, because it's included. And if you're like me, you might want to buy the beverage package.
I've heard that that's the way to go. But I don't know.
They have restrictions now. They give you some one and one or 15
drinks a day.
Yeah, and you know what? 15. And have you noticed? Have you ever been out with me? No, you haven't seen me drink.
No.
15 drinks is a day. It's good. It's good that they picked it. They picked it for a reason. 15. If you do it like in the middle of the day, do 3 drinks. If you drink early, 3 drinks, and it leaves you 9 for the night. If you need more than that, then you may want to join me at one of those meetings. It's people. I know there's people with better constitutions, but that's not necessarily true. And they're the people that can bitch about.
It's like a shark bite. Look at all the people that fall off cruise ships.
No, but that's what I'm saying. If you're the people that complain about the maximum number of drinks you have are probably, if I do a chart, it probably the same amount. The people that complain about the limitations on the drink are probably most likely the ones that fall off cruise ships. People that decide I'm locked out, can you let me in a room instead of going down to the front, to the guest services and getting a key? Trying to climb across the partition. Yeah, well, were you in the Navy? Anybody in the Navy here? A ship does not turn around like a car.
No.
And it's miles. Once you fall off at night or rough seas,
you're done.
It is very hard to find you. The bigger the ship, the less likely you are to find you, because they're not going to. They will turn around. They will look for you.
I think it's roughly 10 times the amount of the boat that it takes to make the circle.
Mm-hmm. And then when you get back, you're not there.
Tyler said it's roughly 10 times the amount of the boat to make the circle.
Yeah, on an aircraft carrier, 1,100 feet. So that's 11,000 feet, 2 miles. And now I don't even think an aircraft carrier turns around. I think you got 6 miles to get turned around, something like that. You are not in that area. And a lot of times they used to do drills called
Man overboard. They still do it.
No, but they called it. There was. Oh, geez, it's been so many years. No, the drill in the Navy was called something else. It was Oscar Zulu was when you had a weapon was dropped, and I'm not talking about a gun. I'm talking about a missile was dropped on the deck. That's a big deal when they do something like that. But that is a big fucking deal. Yeah. So, how did we get away from that? We were talking about cruise ships, about people doing last minute deals.
Yeah, last minute deals.
Last minute deals.
I think that's what you were getting at, is that it changed season from being a compact amount of time to really spreading it
and
out.
evidence of that, I think it affects two things. It's affecting our business, and it affects the way people decide to go on their vacations, but how businesses price themselves. Because you could price yourself out of
season.
No, you price yourself out of season when you do like a $300. If you're normally $200 a night and you become $450 a night, people say, "Well, I'm not willing to pay that." And there are a certain amount of people that are willing to pay that, but are there enough of them? And it happened with that new place that opened, the bungalows. Before they opened, we were hearing $800 per person per night, and then it went up to $1,200 for a king suite near the beach. It's an all-inclusive, and now you can find them for $399 per person, because they had an idea beforehand that yes, the keys are upscale and things like that, but certain people will not pay just because they have the money. They don't always pay.
So the inside scoop on that place now, because I have my old boss that is trying to get in there for jet ski rentals. The inside scoop is it's roughly $200 a night per person.
They are way lower than they expect.
2-night minimum. So that's where they get you on there. 2-night minimum.
That's great. That's a good deal.
And that's also like one of the little tiny ones that's up by the highway. Now you're not too far off by the one by the water. Those are about roughly $1,000 to $1,100 a night per person.
I'm sure that's going to go.
I think it's a 4-night minimum.
I mean, yeah, but 200. I mean, that's a drastic change.
But you got to think they're no bigger than the size of our tiki hut.
That exactly right. They're
tiny.
They're modulars,
right?
And
hotel rooms, not that.
They're modulars, and they got about 116, I think, units there. And you can't have there's no vehicles inside. There's only golf carts. I still don't know where they put the fucking cars. Because
right by the water holding tanks at the end of the property, the big cylinders.
They must have a huge parking lot then, because parking. It's amazing. You know, every time you go down to Publix, aren't you amazed? Even in busy seasons, there's always space there. But in a lot of places down here, there is limited parking. You spend a lot of time. There's new apps in big cities like New York. They have where you can find a parking space. That's great. Whoever came up with that stuff. But I think
dinner earlier over at Sundowners.
The next application I'm going to get.
Fine when we got there, but when we left, I mean, people were scrambling to find a place to park.
I think the next wave of that would be a B2B application that tells you how to set your prices, to tie it to the activity of people going online looking for vacation space, vacation opportunities, and to tie your pricing into it, so you can slide in there and get that person, right? Because obviously, if you're down here with the bungalows and you're looking at $600-700 a night, and people say, "Fuck that! You know, I'll go to Sandals in Jamaica," which for 9 days you can go for 2 people can go for $2,000.
Well, even our top resorts down here are $300, $400
Yeah, well, some
for
of our
a
top
room, but
resorts.
that's up to 3 people in it.
Yeah, that's right. What these all-inclusive just changes the whole dynamics. So with the accent thing, we had a short conversation before, and we were talking about not just if you talk just U.S. citizens.
Just U.S. citizens.
When someone comes up and they have a foreign accent, you're ready. You're just going, oh, we're going to communicate. We're going to get the message. We're going to find out what you're going to get. But when someone's from the United States and they start talking, and they go right into their order before even precursing. You have a strong, let's say, and I'm not picking on you guys from Alabama, but you're from Alabama, and you have that thick accent, and you're ordering an unsweet tea, unlikely. No, normally it's a sweet tea. I have a sweet tea, and I'm like, whoa, I wasn't ready for that. I don't know if you were ordering a chicken breast sandwich, a hamburger. I didn't know if it was a tea or a beer. I need context. So sometimes I go, hi, my name's Jim, where are you from, blah, blah, blah. And you get that talk, and you get that little rap going, and all of a sudden you get a little context where their accent's coming from. I get it. I get it. I understand it. I don't think, I don't have a problem with someone having any different type of accent. I just need to know where your vowels are, how you make your A, how you make your E.
I'm just a bit of a grammar Nazi, and I think that's why it irritates me. Because
Well,
there's
see,
certain
you're
accents
not
that-
in the service industry. You're
I'm in a professional.
you're
industry, right?
professional, and you have to get exact information. You don't want someone fucking around with their social security number or their address, and you say, no, this is not like thing we get 90% right. You got to get 100% right each time, right? In order to get the right information and get the best results, right?
Well, I had to ask a customer what his address was, and it was like 809 Chimney Sweet Row. I'm sorry. What did I did not understand what Chimney Sweet Road.
Chimney Sweep Row.
Chimney Sweep Road.
Oh wow.
But I had to have him spell it because I did not understand what he said, and it was like just.
I hate to have to ask people 3 times because it's making them sound like listen, I'm sorry, I don't understand what you're saying. It's not that you don't have, but obviously you don't deal with people from other places. You could be from a small town in Alabama and everyone knows that accent. But when you come down here to the Keys or go up to New York or you go up to even California or even go to Louisiana, Cajun accent. A Cajun accent has to be somewhat foreign to someone from northern Alabama. Yeah, but I mean, it's an accent, and once you get where they're coming from, I have friends from all over the place, and German friends. My wife's Polish, so if she talks faster sometimes, I don't know exactly what she's saying. And if I'm not paying 100% attention.
Because he's always paying 100% attention.
No, I'm not.
Like
If I'm not
speaking.
paying 100% attention, it could slip by, and I may have pretended to say, yeah, I know what you're saying, but it's not. And that can cause a big problem later on. Much bigger problem. What I should do, and I'm going to make a recommitment to that, pretend I'm taking an order for my wife, like for food. Because I won't go half-assed. Someone's from Tennessee, and they just got off the mountain, and they got on the plane and came down here, and they're telling me something. If I don't understand what they're saying, I'm going to wait until I understand, and I'll repeat, and I'll point to the thing and do all that stuff, and not saying there are any, and then we'll start understanding. And sometimes they talk to me like I'm stupid, and I go, okay, I understand. If that makes you feel better, I'm not doing it to you. You don't have to be defensive. Oh. Does he hear anything coming on?
He just wants to say hi to everybody. That's Toby.
That's Toby. But we have people from around the world. When you, I mentioned this, the Nordic, sneaky Nordic motherfuckers. They're nice people. They're wonderful people. I love them. But if you get someone from the Netherlands, a lot of times, I don't hear an accent. Their English is that good. And you're talking to him, and he said, where are you from? He said, I'm from Amsterdam. And I go, holy shit. What are you, American? You live there or something? No, I grew up there. And obviously they said it better than I said it. My accent was, they're struggling to understand what I'm saying. Would they hear a weird accent coming out of my mouth? And some people say, well, they'll laugh. People in Philadelphia will say, well, you don't have a Philadelphia accent. And other people down here will say, well, I don't hear a Philadelphia accent. You talk to someone from Amsterdam, they go, you have a strong accent.
Right. Well, of course,
they don't understand.
They learn English, not American.
American English. They know American. They know classic American English almost. They don't sound like English people.
A lot of slang.
What?
I mean, Americans, we have a lot of slang.
Yeah.
Plus, we have 17 different words that all mean the same thing.
Not as many as the Eskimos have for snow. You know that?
You know,
I threw that in there.
I think that Papa Joe should tell you his Polish joke.
And he told, you know what? We do have people listen in Poland. You better be.
Yeah.
They do. Is it Polish you're speaking when you do
Oh,
it?
absolutely not. I made it up.
Okay, good. You don't want to do it. My uncle used to pretend to speak Hungarian because we're part Hungarian. And he used to say that, and I said that to somebody, and it was supposed to be an insult, a Hungarian, and they go, nope. Raga dufa pufa dra. And I go, holy shit. And they go, and I went to my Uncle Bill, and he said, Uncle Bill, that doesn't mean shit to them. I mean, obviously he's separated by like 50, 60 years of back in the old country, and he wasn't there. He got it from his father. And Uncle Bill really didn't speak. He was Philadelphian, Uncle Bill. Barely understood what he had to say. I had my stepfather, Bruce, from Tampa. He, great guy, nice guy. My mother's third husband. And he, for all the years I knew him, I got every third word. I could never get the context of where he was coming from. I would listen to him, we'd have a conversation, and I'm going, I'm not exactly sure what you're saying. I was kind of frustrated, I'm going, but I know it was something, he was trying to build me up some way, and I just say, hey, thanks a lot, and I walk away not knowing what he said.
See, my frustration is that they don't usually have to ask me 3 times of what I just said, no matter where they're from, and especially Americans. If they come into my office and they're speaking with me, they don't have to ask me to repeat myself 3 times. So obviously they're hearing exactly what I say, and they can hear what proper American
No, if you
English
listen,
should sound like.
if you listen
But
to
when
television,
they talk to me, I have to ask them to repeat
no,
themselves.
no. When you're listening to television, you have everyone. I think there's a baseline American accent, and people vary from that to, you have your northeastern one, you have your western, the northern central states, Midwest, South, and they depending on how far they drift from that the middle. Let's say what do we call the middle American accent, whether that's whatever you want to call it. It's not owned by anybody, but it's what newscasters speak.
Well, if you think about like the original settlers in the U.S., and then you're dealing with New England, but then you're losing your R's. You're from Boston, right?
But all those people lost that shit where they started going west. You know what I mean? Because all those people from New England were the same. The people from New England, Pennsylvania, they started going east, and then south,
they
south.
developed different accents on their way over.
Yeah. And they said Appalachia, up until like the 1960s, it was the closest variant to Shakespearean English was Appalachia. Yeah, baseline Shakespearean English, not Shakespearean in meaning Shakespeare plays, that language used, but I guess Elizabethan English.
Oh yes, probably.
The common language that was very close to it.
But it's surprising how you can go from Maine to Tennessee, and you can make that drive in one day.
Yeah.
And pass through 5 different accents.
Well, I don't see the younger people. You don't see it as much softer. My boss and friend Kathy from England. People say I don't hear that. I hear that accent.
Oh, I hear it. She's definitely British.
I hear it. Some British people come out and say, I don't hear your accent. I said, are you kidding me? Are you fucking kidding me? She sounds like a chimney sweep. How you doing, love? Hey, chicken, how you doing? Blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, oh, holy shit, are you kidding me? You don't hear that stuff? Okay.
She's so adorable.
She is. She's sweet. She's very charming. She's a charming lady.
She is.
Yeah. And Abby's that way with her Polish. She uses her Polish accent, and she comes off as very sweet. She is, and she's very sweet almost all the time. Almost. Who is almost all the time? I mean, I'm not as sweet as she is, but I'm sweet most of the time. I'm abrasive. I understand.
Well, I will give that to a lot of the people from the South. They are very sweet.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? I did have someone say they called up for an order and they came in and said, "You were so nice on the phone." And I go, "Really?" And I said, "You must be from the North." And I go, "What?" what? I'm not only I'm from the north, I'm from Philadelphia, not known for hospitality, but I like the Freakonomics thing. It's unusual. Most people are, I believe, most people are civil. Most people are civil, and they remember the people that aren't, and they just leave a bigger impact.
Yes.
So I want to talk about this guy.
Okay. Who's this guy?
Karl Tanzler.
Oh, Karl Tanzler.
He was born in the 1877, German national, and he was a early radiologist, and he eventually was in Key West, in the hospital down there, and this guy is one of the interesting characters for the Keys. I figure we'll talk about it. I'll tell this quick story, and then we can go riff off it. Okay, the guy was a radiologist, and he had a patient named Elena Helen, Milagro Dehozo, and Hozo, Dehozos, or whatever. And she's a Cuban-American. Family had a cigar business, and she got married when she was 16, and then she got divorced a couple of years later because she couldn't bear her husband's children. But she was supposedly this woman, and I saw pictures of her, a lovely woman. In the 1829, she came down with tuberculosis.
1829?
1929. Came down with tuberculosis, and she came in contact with Karl Tanzler. And Karl Tanzler recalled that when he was a child, he remembers being visited by a dead relative and told him that his true love would be a dark-haired beauty, something like that. And when he came in contact with the woman, he thought this was that woman, this Elena Helen. And he became infatuated with her. When he found out she had tuberculosis, at that time, that was a death sentence. And he convinced his superiors with little extra knowledge. This guy didn't really have much, but he said he would develop a treatment that would cure this. And needless to say, about 8 months later, after he came in contact, she was dead. So it didn't work too well. It didn't work too well. So he convinced the family that he would pay for all the funeral expenses. He paid for a mausoleum for her. And then after a while, after they didn't think anything strange about it for some reason, which she didn't return any of the favors that he trying to, buying her gifts and stuff like that. When she was dead, she had some mausoleum. People start noticing he's visiting. He has a key to it. He's visiting the mausoleum. And then there's a lot of talk, and then all of a sudden, her body's taken out of there. They don't know where it is. But they find out one time the sister, I guess they had some suspicion, visits this Karl, and she sees this sister's body in his bed. And this is about 7 years after the body went missing.
Creepy.
Yep. And during that time,
did he
he put wire. Well,
somehow?
I'm tell you some of the things he did. He used wire to fortify her bones. He got glass. They said this glass orbs for the eyes. They use orbs in that thing. They use orbs in the scope for her eyes because the eyes, would.
Yeah.
And he used plaster and wax fabric to replace her skin. He used rags to go inside to beef up the body and stuff like that from that. And he also used formaldehyde and perfume to hide the scent. But that was in his bed for 7 years.
Did he sleep next to it?
Speculation was that he did for that. Yes, he did. And once the sister found out, they got the body, and then they put him on trial. But the thing is, it was the statute of limitations ran out.
Because it had been 7 years.
Yeah, during the trial, they had a trial and all set up. He got away. He ended up moving to someplace in Central Florida. But this is what ends up. They get the body. The funeral home takes it. Whatever funeral home takes it back. And they put her body on display for $1 a pop After all that stuff, they put a body on display. I mean, I can't.
All that work he did with the glass orbs.
No, but I mean, how
They should've given
disrespectful
him,
is
like,
that?
50 cents
If I was a family, I would say, fuck no, not $1. We can put her back in the mausoleum and stuff like that. Yeah, that's fucking Key West.
Okay, so that makes me think of Ed Gein.
Yeah, Gein with his Gein.
Ed
Oh,
Gein.
you know how to pronounce that.
Well, yes,
Your
he's from
favorite serial killer
Wisconsin.
from Wisconsin, yeah.
Yeah, because he kept his mother's dead body.
Well, they used to say that was the Psycho was based on that, or Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but both, because the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, they were using human skin, making faces and all that stuff. But that was but Ed Gein.
But Ed Gein, like, literally kept his mother in a bedroom, like, kind of a hidden bedroom in the house.
Like Psycho.
And
When
he-
you put her on in the upstairs bedroom, and
Yeah, and like put her in the rocking chair, rocker,
Like
and would
Psycho.
put her in the bed, and she was like all bones. And
So we have just a small place down. I mean, the Keys. Well, we have just as crazy people down here.
There's crazy people everywhere.
Yeah, I know, but that I thought that was amazing. It's Karl Tanzler. Karl Tanzler was 36 years older than this woman.
Yeah.
36 years. That would be like me. Well, actually, pretty much the same age difference. Like a 20-year-old.
Yeah.
And I can look at a 20-year-old and find them attractive.
Until they
But-
open their
Why,
mouth.
thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tyler, you're not 20 years old.
He is
man.
not 20.
If you were born on Neptune, maybe. Because that takes longer to go around the
That just
sun.
means
you know?
he's still in his 20s.
He
Yes.
is, yes.
Oh, you're in your 20s? I'm so sorry.
He's not 20, but he is in his late 20s.
28? You're 28?
29 June.
In June, 29.
I was going to guess 35.
Fuck you.
I was going to guess 35.
You know, what's funny is most people guess 35 for me until they meet like my children, and then they're
Okay,
like, well,
no,
she got to be older
35.
than
35 is
that.
not.
So, like, there you go.
Tyler,
30
Tyler.
Wait, whoa.
You just look
Tyler.
like hell, buddy.
35. Wait, 35 is not beat up. There's 35-year-old people that look like they're in their 20s, experience-wise. You know, that's not. If I said 45, you take it an insult. 35, I was giving you. I don't even have to. I don't have to make out.
He was giving you a
giving you
mature
credit
compliment.
for your maturity. Yeah.
I wasn't. I was just calling you beat up.
It's not the age.
Old man
It's
sitting here
the,
drinking a glass of wine.
it's not the age. It's the mileage.
It's the mileage.
So, oh my God, there
It's
we
not
go.
the mileage. It's the recalls. How many recalls have you had, Tyler?
You have any recalls? I haven't.
7 in one leg.
Oh Jesus Christ!
That aged him, I think.
Oh man, that
The
sucks.
shattered leg.
Well,
Yes.
if we could, we know there's people down here right now. We know. We know there's people down here.
That are
That-
hiding dead bodies in their houses.
They're doing stuff like that because there's there's bodies that are stuck in. People kill people on boats. They die and
Hey,
they
this,
dump them.
you said this Tanzler guy moved to Central Florida?
Yeah.
Did he change his name to Walt Disney? I'm just curious.
No, he didn't. Oh, his head is frozen,
You're
right?
asking for a friend.
That explains what I did.
Tanzler would have been. Walt Disney died in the late '60s, I think, or something like that. Late '60s, before Disney World opened up, I think, or maybe he was still alive then. But he would have been close to 100 years old. Much like the speculation, Hitler would be 130, I guess, right now, if he was alive in
Like the
Argentina.
movie, they saved Hitler's head, something like that?
Yep.
I think Tanzler's behind that.
Tanzler may have that.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was an infatuated motherfucker that just wanted to. I mean,
Did they
I swear.
really save Hitler's head? I mean, I know that they took whose brain? They took Einstein's brain. Somebody stole it, right? Somebody
Yep,
stole
they did.
Einstein's
And the
brain.
guy was.
He was dissecting it in the little tin.
Yeah, and he started sending it around to researchers and stuff like that. And the weird thing is, some people accepted it. These studies, but if you only had, he was giving samples out of Einstein's brain. That's all. But listen, we're at 46 minutes. I think we're
Just so you know, Disney died in 66.
Yes, Walt Disney died
okay.
in
Late
66,
60s, right?
So yeah, I
Way
mean,
before.
well, no, because
Disney
Tanzler,
World
you
opened.
said, was in. Yes, it was before Disney World opened. I do know.
No,
that.
yeah, Disney
He
was.
He very well could have been Tanzler.
No, Tanzler was old in the 30s.
Well, no, you said he was born.
He was born in 1870
Oh
something.
yeah, that's true. That's right.
And she was
She was the one.
Disney World opened in '65.
Okay, so
Disney World, Disneyland.
Disney World here in Orlando opened in '65.
Disney World was first. Disneyland was
Disneyland
second.
came after.
Disneyland's in California.
I dispute
Right?
that.
I
I
thought
dispute
Disney
that.
World
I think it's the other way around.
I think it's.
back-
I'm
okay, so
almost
backwards.
certain of that
Read it again.
because I was there.
Disney
I think I
World.
was there a year
Disney
after.
World opened in '65. Disneyland
Disney World opened
Double.
in
I need a second.
65?
Sorry. What?
'55.
Oh, 55.
Yeah, yeah.
Disneyland
Okay.
opened in '55.
Oh, all right,
Yeah,
so
okay.
he's right, California.
Yeah.
Well, I figured, right, because Disney
No,
was
but
in
I thought
California.
Disney World opened like in the early '70s. But you're saying late '60s, huh?
'65.
Mid-60s, yeah, 65.
Really?
Because that was his envision, was that place.
I don't, Disney. I went there when I was 12. I haven't been back.
Oh, I've been there. I've been there many
It's
times.
fun.
That's not my thing.
It is fun. It's
Generally
beautiful.
don't like crowds in
I
it.
don't
Except
like
it's
crowds.
It's more fun when you drink.
Yeah.
Well, I'm
I'm going next
4'11".
month.
I get run over easily. I don't.
Where
like
did
crowds.
Disneyland
I can't
for
go on the
adults
rides
down
anyway.
here?
They
But
have those damn hands that stick out. It says if you're not this tall, you can't go on the ride. Well, forget it. I can't go on a ride. I don't want to stay in the
oh,
theme
that was
park.
some of the lines. What was that lines that? Some of the lines that you have to be this tall.
No, I didn't see that.
I
in there.
get-
I was just looking through your little diary.
Oh,
I
you
didn't
saw
see-
it?
I was looking at your
Little diary.
Your two snakes.
Does
that
it
look
sound like a
they're
crazy
running.
man thing? You saw the
No,
the thing?
I was looking at your two snakes.
hey a-hole, pick up your trash. We talked about that. Look out! Look out! Those beautiful coconuts. Bang!
Yeah.
Oh, someone looking up at the coconuts getting hit in the head.
Oh, yeah.
And sneaky Nordic people. No accents, Dutch, Swedes, Norwegians.
It's no.
Not Finnish. Yeah, we had a Finnish exchange student come into Rotary, and she slight accent. I said, "Would you grow up here?" No, nope. Just
They teach it in school.
well, that's all they. What are you going to listen to, man? You got some fucked up
How much stuff on
Kukla,
YouTube
Fran,
is
and
actually
Ali
in
show
Finnish,
over there. What?
Right? I mean, how much stuff on YouTube is actually in Finnish? You gotta watch the cool stuff.
I don't know. Whenever I watch YouTube, I never finish.
That's not Amato Care's problem. He always finishes. Okay, we're 15.
He's impatient.
He is impatient. We'd like to thank everyone for listening. We're gonna. I'm gonna turn on the volume to this and say goodbye. Say goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye, everyone.
Bye, everyone. Bye.
This is Jim the Keys bartender saying goodbye.
So, yes, I just read Walt.
Right now, you can get both Sprint's unlimited plan and the all-new Samsung Galaxy S10 included for just $35 per month per line for 5 lines. All you need is approved credit and an 18-month lease. No trade-in required. Visit a Sprint store, sprint.com, or call 800-SPRINT-1.
Phone $15 a month after $22.50 a month. Credit apply within 2 bills. If canceled earlier, main balance due. Unlimited basic after 6/30/20. Pay $32 per month per line for 5 lines with auto-pay. Data deprioritization during congestion. Speed maximums. Use rules and restrictions apply.
Join us in celebrating the New England Association of Fire Chiefs 97th Annual Conference and Exposition, June 20th to June 22nd at Foxwoods Resort Casino. All fire, rescue, and EMS professionals are welcome to enjoy 3 days of professional development, networking, and exhibitors featuring fire apparatus and equipment. Sponsored by Shipman's Fire Equipment. On behalf of the members and officers of the New England Association of Fire Chiefs, we look forward to seeing you at this year's Fire Rescue EMS Exposition, June 20th to June 22nd.